Hello everyone, so I'm filming this video the day after the video that you're about to see, but I just wanted to express my true sadness, horror and anger over the horrific racial injustice that's currently being showcased now more than ever in the protests and the senseless killings of George Floyd. It's more important now than ever that we can unite against a common goal, because this should not still be an issue in 2020. It sickens me, the fact that it is. Honestly, before all this, I thought we were past this as a human race, but unfortunately I was wrong. And sometimes a vicious minority can speak a damn lot louder than a silent majority. And as a society, we can't be silent anymore. We must stand up to the vicious minority of racists who populate this earth, and it's incredibly unfortunate that they still exist, but all we can try and do is shut them out any way we can. If you go into the link in the video description down below, there'll be links to ways you can donate, to petitions you can sign, information you can read. It's well worth educating yourself and helping wherever you can. Obviously we're not in the United States, so there's not a lot, well, me particularly, so I'm not in the United States, so I can't fully, begin to understand what it's like over there, but we're not innocent either in the UK. So yeah, I just wanted to, obviously the video you're about to see is going to be a lot more light-hearted than this, but I just wanted to start the video by showing my support towards all of the efforts to stop racial injustice. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and stay safe, everyone.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another video on The Sheldon Show. Now, first of all, let's go through the usual thing, because I seem to do it every time I ever make a video. Sorry for the lack of videos of recently. I've had a few personal issues I've had to sort out, which have stopped me from making some videos. But I'm here now. I'm going to take a look at my top 10 favourite movie performances of all time. Now, you're not going to agree with this list. You know it, I know it, your cat knows it. Well, unless you don't have a cat, and then your dog knows it, and if your dog doesn't know it, then your rabbit. To be honest, all I'm saying is you won't agree with this list because it's a personal list. It's a personal choice. I'm just going to quickly explain how I'm going to do this list. It's going to be slightly different from the usual top 10s I do. So I'm going to take a little leaf out of another YouTube channel who I follow, and they are amazing, so go and check them out, Cinefix. I'm not doing exactly the same format as them. This is just a one video off. I just think it's going to suit the format best. So for each one of the rankings, so 10 through 1, I'm going to, rather than just listing my top 10 favourites, I'm going to do my favourite performance from each genre. So there's going to be 10 different genres, or 9 genres and an era. I'll explain that as I go. So each one, so it'll be my favourite action performance, my favourite horror performance. You get the idea. And so that means that I get a nice widespread, and also that means that I can talk to you about as many different actors and genres as I can. The other rule is only one film per actor. Because otherwise the list will be filled with about 3 or 4. So only one role per actor. And yeah, let's get going with number 10. So number 10 is my favourite performance from a film that came out from 1960 or earlier. Now, obviously, there are so many ones I could pick from this. I could pick, let's see, you've got Bela Lugosi's fantastic work as Dracula. You've got Charlie Chaplin in anything he was in. You've got James Stewart's fantastic performance in It's a Wonderful Life. You've got Orson Welles' amazing take of Citizen Kane. But my number 10 pick is...
Brother, I've seen all kinds of dishonesty in my day, but this little display takes the cake. You all come in here with your hearts bleeding all over the floor about slum kids and injustice. You listen to some fairy tales. Suddenly you start getting through to some of these old ladies. Well, you're not getting through to me. I've had enough. What's the matter with you guys? You all know he's guilty. He's got to burn. You're letting him slip through our fingers.
So you can arguably put everyone in 12 Angry Men, because all 12 of the actors are outstanding, with Henry Fonda coming in a very close second. But for me, nothing beats Lee J. Cobb. He is a phenomenal actor. He did a lot of theatre work back in the around that time period, the 50s and 60s. And obviously this was a film role that he did. He's been in a few films. He is a phenomenal talent. The performance is gritty. You feel every ounce of personal hatred that this man has towards not only the other men in the room, but also his feelings towards the story, towards the character who he is trying. There's so much depth in the character. It's incredibly well written. 12 Angry Men is a phenomenal film, and he makes it him. I mean, the whole cast, like I said, the whole cast are phenomenal, but nothing for me can beat Lee J. Cobb. Go and check out 12 Angry Men if you haven't. It's really worth your time. It's a phenomenal, phenomenal film. And yeah, now on to number 9. So on number 9, we have my favourite performance in a comedy. Now, I don't usually watch a lot of comedies. They're not really my thing. I do watch them occasionally. There are some phenomenal performances from comedic actors, but I usually will go towards more dramatic stuff. But when you're looking at the best performances from comedic actors, you have to look at the likes of Jim Carrey in The Mask, Gene Wilder's phenomenal performance in Young Frankenstein, Leslie Nielsen's work in the parody film The Naked Gun. But for me, there is one comedic performance which stands out above any other comedic performance, and that is...
So that's what you call me, you know? That or his dudeness or Duder or, you know, El Duderino, if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
Are you employed, sir?
Employed?
You don't go out looking for a job dressed like that, do you? On a weekday?
Is this a... What day is this?
This film is so underrated. I adore The Big Lebowski. I think it's a fantastic, fantastic comedy, probably one of the best. But what makes the film for me is the idea of taking a serious actor, a dramatic actor like Jeff Bridges, and giving him this comedic role of the dude, who is essentially, he is a huge doofus when you're introduced to him, you know, and this isn't a role you'd expect Jeff Bridges to make work, and he absolutely runs with it. I absolutely wet myself laughing in this film, mostly from Jeff Bridges. I think his work is truly astonishing. Not enough people have seen The Big Lebowski, so go and check out The Big Lebowski, because it's one of my favourite comedies, but I think he makes the film, for me. He's just a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant performance, and I can't really say much else. He's just funny, which is all you want in a comedy. Moving on to number 8. Okay, now for number 8, I'm going to do something slightly differently. Number 8 is my favourite performance in an animation. Now, obviously, this is favourite voice work in an animation. But when you look at voice work, I often find that when you look at best performances, voice work goes under the radar. But I think there are some phenomenal voice work performances. For me, you have to look no further than the likes of Rowan Atkinson in The Lion King. You have to look at Jeremy Irons in The Lion King. Both are incredible. Then you have to look at pretty much everyone in Toy Story. Then the cast of Coco and Frozen are fantastic. The Nightmare Before Christmas has some amazing cast. But for me, there's one. And there's only one. Because no animated performance in the world beats this. And that is...
10,000 years will give you such a crick in the neck. Hang on a second. Wow! Wow! Does it feel good to be out of there? I'm telling you, nice to be back, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, where are you from? What's your name?
Aladdin.
Aladdin. Hello, Aladdin. Nice to have you on the show. Can we call you Al, or maybe just Din? Or how about Laddie? Sounds like, here, boy. Come on, Laddie.
Of course, it's Robin Williams as the genie. Now, I don't mind Will Smith as the genie, but he had so much to live up to after this outstanding performance. The energy, the zaniness, the heart to Robin Williams. That's what makes his performance. It's not all the energy. That is in spades, because that's Robin Williams. But it's his softer side. There are some softer moments. You really feel for him in certain scenes, especially the one where Aladdin says that he can no longer help him. You see the pain in his eyes. And that is... I mean, I know that's obviously an animation quirk, but you can hear from the voice as well. It's just so well done, and I know that a lot of that is down to the animation, but Robin Williams is the best. For me, I can't put anything past Robin Williams. What a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant actor. And rest in peace to you, sir, because he was flawless. Okay, number 7, we have best performance in a fantasy film. Now, there's no sci-fi on this list, so I will be including a lot of sci-fi in the fantasy genre, mainly Blade Runner, because I want to give honourable mentions to both Harrison Ford as Deckard and obviously Ryan Gosling in Blade Runner 2049. But they're obviously not the only ones. I think a lot of the performances in Lord of the Rings are outstanding, particularly Andy Serkis as Gollum, who absolutely steals the show, and Ian McKellen as Gandalf, but I know there are a lot more. Obviously Star Wars, if you look at Star Wars, my favourite Star Wars performance is Adam Driver as Kylo Ren, and I know that might be an unpopular opinion. I know Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, they're all excellent, but no one beats Adam Driver for me. He's outstanding in that role. But for me, My favourite fantasy performance of all time actually comes from Harry Potter. Now, that might be an unpopular opinion. I am a massive Potter fan, so meh. I mean, obviously, when you look at the best performances on that in the Harry Potter front, for me, I look at Maggie Smith as Minerva McGonagall. I look towards Gary Oldman as Sirius Black. I look towards Ralph Fiennes as Lord Voldemort. Helena Bonham Carter was so close to being on there, as was Imelda Staunton as Dolores Umbridge, because she is the most hateable person in the world as Dolores, and she does such a phenomenal job. But for me, my favourite actor in Harry Potter and my favourite performance in a fantasy series is...
Furthermore, any person found to have knowledge of these events who fails to come forward will be treated as equally guilty.
It's Alan Rickman. Now, Alan Rickman is the best. He is the best. I just can't put into words how much I adore his work as Severus Snape. The Severus Snape is a very difficult character to get right. It requires a lot of layers, requires a very deep, complex set of emotions, and Alan Rickman just pulls it off better than I could have ever thought an actor could have. He does such an outstanding job. He is, in my opinion, the best, or one of the best performances of all time as Severus Snape. The scenes towards in the final few films especially, he is so good. And yeah, again, rest in peace to you, Mr. Rickman, because your legacy lives on in Harry Potter, as it does in many films, Die Hard, you know, all those films. It really does live on, but especially in Snape, where, in my opinion, he gives the best performance of his career. Okay, now we move on to best performance in an action film. Now, this was hard, because I'm between three, in my opinion. I'll go through the honourable mentions first. Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Terminator films is obviously amazing. You've got Sylvester Stallone as Rambo, who is delightfully cheesy. You've got Ellen Ripley in Alien, again an excellent performance there. You've got Matt Damon as Jason Bourne, phenomenal performance. But I'm tied between two, and I really can't choose. Okay, I'm gonna go with this. Okay, so this is my favourite performance in a action film.
All around, prepare to meet Kali in hell. Oh! Put out the way!
Now, it was so close between Indiana Jones and James Bond, but ultimately I chose Harrison Ford over Daniel Craig. By the way, Daniel Craig would have been the Bond because he's the best and outstanding. But for me, he's just the quintessential action adventure hero. He's just so brilliant. I love Indiana Jones as a series. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but the first three are excellent, and Harrison Ford brings so much to that role. It would have been so easy to make a cardboard carcass cutout, and he took it and he ran with it, and I salute him for that. And I think that it's a brilliant performance. Harrison Ford is a severely underrated actor, and he does a brilliant job with Indiana Jones, really making you feel for the character. You get sucked into the adventure. He works well with his other actors. Yeah, it's a fantastic performance. And yeah, love Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. And moving on to the next pick. Okay, so now we got best performance in a horror. I'm going to stop now. So yeah, best performance in a horror. So when you look at best performances in a horror, for me, I look at Anthony Hopkins' phenomenal portrayal of Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs. I look at Willem Dafoe's creepy as hell, yet comedic as hell work in The Lighthouse. The second, and it was so close in this, was Jennifer Kent for her work in The Babadook, because go see The Babadook. No one's seen The Babadook. It's one of the best horror films ever made. Go and watch The Babadook. But for me, my favourite horror performance of all time is...
Hi, Lloyd. A little slow tonight, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Mr. Torrance. what'll it be?
I'm awfully glad you asked me that, Lloyd. Because I just happen to have 2 20s and 2 10s right here in my wallet. I was afraid they were going to be there till next April.
I have never in my life enjoyed a performance, I think, more than Jack Nicholson's. He is so creepy. He is so hard to watch at times, but also funny at times. I think that's the genius of Kubrick in this film. And honestly, I think that it is an outstanding performance. He meshes well with the other actors. The other actors in it are brilliant, but for me, the film is made by Jack. The scene where he walks up the stairs, the Here's Johnny, just the scene in the bar with Lloyd, it's just amazing. Go and watch The Shining if you haven't. Brilliant horror film, but for me it's made by a phenomenal direction from Stanley Kubrick, but most importantly, just an ungodly good performance from Jack Nicholson. Now we're on to my hardest pick. It's best performance in a musical movie. This is so hard. Again, I'm torn between 4 or 5. You look at Ryan Gosling in La La Land is excellent. You look at Topol in Fiddler on the Roof. You look at Julie Andrews or Dick Van Dyke in Mary Poppins. You look at Barbara Streisand in a lot of films that she's been in. Oh my god, this is so hard. Liza Minnelli from Cabaret was a very close second. But for me, my favourite movie musical performance of all time is...
The situation. Can a fella be a villain all his life? All the trials and tribulation. Better settle down and get myself a wife. And the wife would cook and sew for me and come for me and go for me and go for me and nag at me. The finger she would wag at me, the money she would take from me, a misery she'd make from me. I think I'd better think it out again.
I'm reviewing the situation. Yes, Ron Moody. I love Ron Moody as Fagin. He is the quintessential Fagin. Sorry, Rowan Atkinson, I know you played him in this show. You did a good job, but no one beats Ron Moody. Just the energy and the life he brings to it is truly staggering. I mean, is it like the book? No. Does it go a bit too far sometimes from the direction point of view? Maybe. But he's a delight. He is such a delight. Ron Moody, his death went under the rug actually, because I believe it was the same day as Gene Wilder's. Or someone like that, which meant that he never got the proper due he deserved. But what an actor. What an actor, especially in Oliver. He has the energy and the zaniness to pull it completely off, and he sells every second to the point where I bought it all. I've modelled a lot of I modelled my performance of Fagin when I did it a few years ago off of Ron Moody, and I think he has become the benchmark for Fagins and just musical actors, which I don't think anyone has ever topped. So rest in peace, Mr. Moody. Phenomenal, phenomenal performance. And yet, moving on to NumberThree. NumberThree is the best performance in a comic book movie. Now, again, this one was surprisingly difficult. I mean, there was an obvious number one for me, but there were so many amazing honourable mentions, so I'm just going to run through them very, very quickly. You have Christian Bale and Michael Keaton as Batman. You have Christopher Reeve as Superman, and also Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland for their works as Spider-Man, as well as Michael Keaton and Jake Gyllenhaal's work as the villains in both of the remade Spider-Man films. Then moving on, you've got Chris Pratt, Michael Rooker as Yondu and Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy. Again, excellent performances. My second for this would have been Hugh Jackman as Wolverine in Logan. Phenomenal, outstanding performance. Joaquin's amazing as the Joker, of course he is, but he may be in a slightly later spot on this list. But for me, the best performance ever given by an actor in a comic book movie is...
Look at these scars. My father was a drinker and a fiend. And one night, he goes off crazier than usual. Mommy gets the kitchen knife to defend herself. He doesn't like that. Not one bit. So, me watching, he takes the knife to her, laughing while he does it. He turns to me and he says, Why so serious?
Why so serious, son? Yes, it's Heath Ledger as the Joker. I recently rewatched this film. He is so horrifyingly creepy and it's brilliant. I love it. The looks on his face in every scene. I mean, Nolan writes him so well, but wow. I mean, did it contribute to his death? We don't really know, but what a performance. I mean, it's method acting at its finest, because you get that sense of the entire film that he is totally on top of the role. He knows exactly where he wants it to go, whilst maintaining the unpredictability on screen, which is incredibly difficult to do. I have no words beyond that. Watch The Dark Knight. Ledger is astonishing. Is he better than Phoenix? On rewatch, yes, and I think Phoenix is phenomenal as Arthur Fleck, but in my opinion, the best Joker, in the individual character of the Joker, Ledger is better. Okay, moving on to number 2, we have best performance in a biopic. Now, biopic was quite a difficult one to make a list, because again, there are so many. I mean, you've got your musical biopics, you've got Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury, Taron Egerton as Elton John, Jamie Foxx as Ray Charles, Joaquin Phoenix as Johnny Cash. I mean, all 4 of those are excellent. Then you move over to just historical biopics. Then you've got David Oyelowo in a severely underrated performance as Martin Luther King. You've got Denzel Washington's incredible portrayal of Malcolm X. You've got Natalie Portman's excellent role as Jackie Kennedy. She really brings so much to that role. Meryl Streep is in any biopic she's in. Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis in Lincoln was a second for me. But my favourite performance from a biopic is...
And he said, I feel like you're spiting me. Do you think I took this job to spite you? I was writing the script as they were filming all that time in Italy, and I worked like mad all day long and then dashed down to the bar around midnight to end in the next day's scene.
Now, Truman Capote is a very difficult role to pull off because the voice is so difficult, it's so off compared to a lot of other vocals, and I think he absolutely nails it. Philip Seymour Hoffman is the best actor of our generation, or one of anyway. He is an outstanding actor. He really always knows exactly what to bring to the role. Obviously, unfortunately, another one who we've sadly lost. But his work in many things is great, but my favourite work of his is in Capote. He's so slimy in it as well, and that's what I love about him, because Truman Capote was not a nice man, and Philip Seymour Hoffman does not try to play him that way. He plays him as a slimy, you know, this really damaged, you know, man mentally. Not as in, like, trauma damaged, as in just not right somewhere in his brain. And I think that's really, really well done from Hoffman. Again, rest in peace, man. Why do all the great actors, like, die so young? It's tragic, honestly. But yeah, outstanding performance. And now we're on to number 1. Number 1. Number 1 is the best performance in a drama. Now, the person who's won this category is actually my favourite performance of all time. But I will go through some honourable mentions because there are so many. I'm actually going to pull my laptop down now because I have so many honourable mentions. Okay, so we have Adam Driver in Marriage Story, and pretty much anything he's in. Morgan Freeman in The Shawshank Redemption. Marlon Brando in The Godfather. Liam Neeson and Ralph Fiennes in Schindler's List. You've got Javier Bardem in No Country for Old Men. Pesci, Pacino and De Niro in any of their collaborations. Humphrey Bogart in Casablanca. J.K. Simmons in Whiplash. Robin Williams in Good Will Hunting. Anything DiCaprio's been in. But my favourite performance of all time, and the best performance given in a drama, is...
Have you killed anyone?
Yes.
Who?
Jobs in war.
Do you regret this?
No.
What are you running from?
Maybe hurt a man, I think. Maybe he's dead, I don't know.
Where?
In Salinas, he stole a batch of my booze and he drank it.
Does this booze you make poison?
No, if you drink it, smart.
Are you trying to poison me?
No.
Where's your father?
Dead.
How did he die?
Drunk.
Where's your mother?
Joaquin Phoenix's performance as Freddie Quell in The Master is something to behold. Joaquin Phoenix, I've made no qualms about saying, is my favourite actor of all time. I think he is the greatest actor I've ever seen. I aspire to be Joaquin Phoenix on screen and stage. He is literally untouchable in my eyes. But his performance as Freddie Quell is the perfect performance. He does not put a single foot wrong. Go and watch the interrogation scene, or the processing scene, I should say, from the Master. He goes through about 15 emotions in about 5 minutes. Watch that scene, then come back to me and tell me he isn't the greatest actor to ever live. He is just the best. I love him. He is my favourite person on earth. Marry me, Joaquin. Yeah, that is my... I got nothing else to say. Just go and watch the performance because it's truly astonishing. And that's my list. Leave a comment below and let me know what your favourite movie performances are. Maybe I've missed some out. I probably have. It's a very long list. And obviously, you know, these are personal preferences. I very often... My favourite performances are ones I can model myself after, which is why you may notice there aren't a lot of female performances. That doesn't mean I don't think they're amazing, because they really truly are. Meryl Streep's performance, when I missed out Meryl Streep in Sophie's Choice, is outstanding performance. There are so many phenomenal performances. I just usually, the ones I think of are ones which mould me as an actor. And they are usually male-led performances. So yeah, anyway, hope you enjoy the list. There'll be another video, hopefully, out this week on Sit Down with Sheldon, although I'm not promising anything, because usually my schedules fall apart. So thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you on the next video. Bye, everyone.